In about 2001, I was part of a team at the National Tropical Botanic Garden in Hawaii, and our job was to find the 200 species of plants only found in Hawaii that were down to their last 20 individuals. And some of those species were down to 1, 2 or 3 individuals. And there was one that we were very concerned about. It was a hibiscus called Hibiscadelphus woodii. And with my colleague, the botanist Ken Wood, who discovered this tree, we went out and looked after the final 2 survivors. And we fenced that area, we tried to take cuttings, we tried to take root grafts, we did everything we could to try and rescue those trees. And in the end, a landslide wiped them all out. And we lost that species. 2 years ago, Ken sent me an email with a video, and on it were drone sequences that he'd taken on those Kalalau cliffs in the north of Kauai, and there was a colony of Hibiscadelphus woodii, about 8 of them. So a species that we were mourning, it was an extinction that was on our watch, had been rediscovered, and now we're in a position to do something about it and ensure that and many other endangered species survive. And I think what's extraordinary over the 30 odd years I've been involved in species conservation is the new army, the new generation of people with new skills and with a fire in their belly about stopping extinction. And we're seeing species and the loss of species now recognised as a global challenge. I would argue there's still a lot to do to incorporate species fully into the Convention on Biological Diversity, but we're now seeing species as a legitimate target for conservation. And to me, it's thrilling about the sort of things that are happening. If you look at what civilization has achieved over the last 1,000 years, I would argue that one of them is the global gene bank for crop wild relatives. In 40 years, we've effectively saved the wild crop relatives that support crop breeding. And we're seeing species conservation expand in scope and scale. So only this recently we saw the cloning of a black-footed ferret, an endangered species from North America. We're seeing desperate work to clone the last individuals of the northern white rhino. And we're also seeing a massive investment in habitat restoration and protected area work that would allow species to move out and thrive in areas where they've been excluded. In effect, we're looking at the rebounding of nature. And if we can keep that pressure going, both on marine and terrestrial habitats, we have a chance of saving the diversity that we may otherwise lose. But what worries me is that sometimes we don't know what we're losing. I've been working with colleagues from East Africa for the last 20 years, and we've been mapping the endangered plants of Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi, and adjacent countries. And what we found is there are trees that haven't been seen since 1930 or 1950. Or we know of a tree, and there might only be 5 known to science, and only 2 botanists have ever seen them over the last 50 years. So there is a huge amount of work to be done. But the new tools of GIS, of remote surveying, drones, satellite work are allowing us to get to parts of the world to map species and find populations we thought had been lost and to actively bring them back. And I think we're entering the age of rebuilding nature, of regenerating nature and stopping species sliding into extinction. We've shown we can do it. With Per David's deer as an example, or the American bison, or the Mauritian kestrel, or even Hibiscadelphus woodii, we have the ability to bring species back. And I'm really looking forward to discussing that with the speakers, because they are the masters. They've tested themselves against extinction. And people talk about extinction scarring people. Yes, extinction does scar people in our business, but the regeneration of those species more than makes up for those scars.